Hey there and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 5 ways to grow your audience faster. These days, there are a lot of different reasons why you might want to be growing your audience. Maybe you have an online business and you're trying to essentially grow your customer base. Maybe you want to become an influencer, or maybe you just have something important that you want to share with the world. But whatever reason you want to grow your audience, let's all admit that growing your audience online can be tough. There's a lot of competition out there, a lot of noise, a lot of different people who are all trying to grow their audience. So how can you stand out, and specifically what can you do in order to give yourself a leg up and start growing your audience more quickly? I know that when I started trying to grow my audience, I worked at it for many months, and my strategy was essentially posting consistently on social media, and it worked. But when I looked at the numbers, I saw that they were growing, but they were growing so slowly that it was going to take me years and years and years before my audience would be big enough for me to be able to really have a substantial influence or to be able to generate enough customers for my business. So I knew that something had to change. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 different ways that you can grow your audience more quickly so that you can get out of that slow 1 follower at a time growth and start hitting your goals. And one more thing before we get started, there is one of these tips that is really the most powerful of all, and the one that if you don't do anything else, I would recommend you at least do this one, and that's gonna be tip number 5 to get you to stick around to the end. So keep on watching to learn 5 different ways to grow your audience faster. All right, the very first way to grow your audience faster is to be a guest on other people's platforms. So here's what I mean by that. You could be a guest on a podcast, or you could write a guest on someone else's blog. Now, even if you aren't a podcaster or a blogger yourself, the fact is that people who have podcasts or have blogs are building audiences of their own, and those people are also on Instagram, on YouTube, or wherever you are trying to grow your audience. And so if you are a guest on someone else's show or someone else's website or someone else's social media, then you get to access a large number of people all at once. So instead of waiting for people to randomly, organically find your account one at a time, you are able to get in front of hundreds or thousands of people at once, and you can really use this to leverage your audience growth. It's a lot more effective to be able to grow your following by hundreds or thousands at a time than it is to wait for individual people to find you. All right, so if you want to become a guest on someone else's platform, then the first thing that you need to do is just identify people who you might want to be guests with. So find podcasts that your audience listens to, or find blogs that your audience reads, or find other influencers that your audience follows. Once you find some websites or some shows or some accounts that are a good fit for you, that have the people following them that you want to attract, then the next step is to reach out to those people and find out if they are interested or open to having guests. Now, if it is a podcast or a website, they probably regularly have people reach out to them about this sort of request, and they will already have a policy. Either they do guests or they don't do guests. And so it's really just a numbers game. You have to ask a lot of websites or a lot of accounts before you find one that will be the right fit for you and will say yes. But on the other hand, if it is a social media account, most people, I would say, do guests occasionally, but often not as a very regular thing, so they might not already have a policy about it. One other thing to keep in mind is that the number one deciding factor beyond existing policies that will determine whether or not someone will say yes to you really is the quality of your content. It has a lot more to do with the quality of the content that you're making than it does with the number of followers that you have. So for example, and I've talked about this before, if someone wanted to come on my YouTube channel and be a guest, now first of all, that's not something that I do that often, but if we were going to consider someone to be a guest or to do some sort of collaboration with, I really wouldn't care how many YouTube subscribers they have or followers anywhere. I would look at their videos and see how good their videos are and how good of a fit their content is for my audience. And if their videos are amazing and they're a great fit, then I would say yes. It wouldn't matter how many followers they had. Okay, the next way that you can grow your audience faster is similar to being a guest, but it's a little broader of a category. So I would really say that being a guest fits into this category, which is doing collaborations with other people. Now, doing collaborations has all of the same advantages in that you are able to reach a broader potential audience than if you're just posting on your own account. Now, the thing about collaborations is just that there are lots of different kinds. There are lots of different ways that you can work with other influencers or other brands, other people online who already have followings in order to make something cool, deliver great content to the followers, whoever they are, and to grow your audience in the process. So as I already mentioned, one type of collaboration that you could do would be to be a guest on someone's show or have them be a guest on your show or in your account. Another way that you can do a collaboration is by doing a giveaway with someone else who has a similar audience to you. You also could create content on a similar topic and reference each other. So for example, you could make videos with the same title or about the same subject. And then in your video, you can say that someone else who you're collaborating with also made a video on this topic, and so people should go watch their video after watching yours. And of course, they would say the same thing in their video. And then one more way that you could collaborate would just be to do any sort of project with another influencer. So maybe you make a program together, or maybe you do a photo shoot together. There's all sorts of different things that you can make together, and then you will each be tagging each other on social media and gaining some followers in the process. The third way to grow your audience faster is with giveaways. Now, you can do these giveaways as collaborations, as I already mentioned, but you can also grow your audience quickly with giveaways that you would do on your own. Now, when you do giveaways, I will mention that it is very important that you do them strategically. You have to make sure that you are giving away something that will really appeal to the followers you are trying to attract, because if you give away something too generic, even if it's something really awesome, if it's something that anyone would want, then you will have all sorts of people end up following you who aren't really interested in your content, and it is actually going to decrease the engagement on your account, which can hurt your growth over time. So it's really important that you pick a prize that will appeal to the followers you want, and really only to those followers, and it's also important that you promote it strategically. There are some places online that you can promote giveaways to a very broad audience, and you can get a lot of followers or a lot of email subscribers doing this, but like I just mentioned, these followers will not necessarily be interested in your content. So instead, you'll want to make sure that you are promoting it strategically so that it's mostly just the followers that you want that are getting the giveaway promoted to them. So for example, if you were doing a giveaway on your Instagram account to grow your Instagram following, and one of the requirements for entering the giveaway was to follow you on Instagram, one of the main ways you might want to promote this giveaway is just to use hashtags that the followers you want would be following, plus giveaway related hashtags. And as I already mentioned earlier, another great way to promote your giveaways is to do them in collaboration with other influencers and brands. All right, so that third way of growing your audience, I promise, was the last one that really relates to collaborations. Now we're gonna get into some things that are not related to collaborations at all. The fourth way you can grow your audience faster is by using trends. So the first aspect of using trends to grow your audience is finding trends. We all know what trends are. They're things that become particularly popular at a particular time. So a bunch of people are interested in them all at once. Now, sometimes it's something random that just happens out of the blue, like fidget spinners. But on the other hand, sometimes trends can be really predictable, like every year, Christmas tends to trend in the month of December for some reason. So when you're looking for trends, it's much easier to look for those predictable trends, for things that happen every single year at a certain time. You can grow your audience more quickly using trends, because if you talk about those trending topics when they're trending, then you can get found more easily on social media, because you might use hashtags that relate to the trends, or people will be watching lots of videos about that particular topic, and then they'll find your video in suggested. So if you want to take advantage of trends for growing your audience, then the first thing I would recommend is that you start with those predictable trends, those trends that happen every single year, like holidays or events, specifically industry-specific events, so events that are happening that will really relate to your audience, because again, that's going to really help you to grow your audience the best way possible and attract the right followers. So take a look at things that happen every single year. Like I said, holidays, events, also seasons. So this could be when a new season is starting, but also things that people are consistently into in certain seasons. So for example, in the summer, people are interested in vacationing and swimming and doing things in the sun and doing outdoor activities. And so they're talking about those things more and they're more interested in them. In the fall, people are really interested in warm drinks and doing cozy things and wearing cozy sweaters and boots and things like that. So you need to think about what your audience or your target audience is interested in different times of the year and different seasons. Okay, so we've made it all the way to number 5, and this is really the most important thing that you can do if you want to grow your audience faster. If you don't do any of those other things, at least do this. And it is to master the algorithm. Whatever platform you're trying to grow your audience on, you need to learn how the algorithm works, and you need to learn how it works better than most people. Because if you want to rise above the competition, then you need to know what you need to do on that platform in order to get your content suggested. Because on most platforms, the number one way that people grow organically is when the algorithm of that platform suggests their content to new people. If you're waiting for people to just stumble across your content or to find your content in search, then you're going to have to work really hard for every view that you get, or every like that you get, every new follower that you get. But instead, if you can work with the algorithm and get it to actually promote your content for you, then your work will be a lot easier. That is really how I've managed to grow my audience here on YouTube, by studying the algorithm for months and months and months. I put so many hours into just studying how the algorithm works, not necessarily because the algorithm was so complicated that it took me that much time to learn everything about it, but because there's not that much information out there about kind of the deeper workings of the algorithm. So it's not that there's a lot, it's just that not that many people know how the algorithm really works. Now you might be wondering how to learn about the algorithm. How do you master the algorithm? And there is only one real way to know these deeper secrets of how the algorithm works, because the companies that run these social media platforms only tell us so much. They only kind of tell us the superficial part. And that's the part that everybody knows and the part that everyone talks about. To learn the deeper secrets, you really have to study the content. You have to see what other people are posting and how it is performing. And you have to study this content for a while to start noticing trends in how the content performs. So for example, you could study a lot of different YouTube videos and track which lengths of videos are performing best on average. Or you could look at what different people are doing in the introductions of videos that are doing really well. In this case, for example, you might notice that people are often teasing content that will come later on in the video. And since we know, because YouTube told us, that one of the most important factors for ranking well with the algorithm is your watch time or your view duration, then we can specifically look for things that might be increasing view duration. So what are successful YouTubers doing that are causing people to watch their videos for longer? One thing is teasing content till the end, but one of the biggest things is really just making interesting videos that keep people watching. So obviously right now, I can't teach you all the deep secrets of how the algorithm works for whatever platform you want to grow your audience on, both because that would just be a lot of information on any one platform, but also because this video is about how to grow your audience regardless of the platform you're on. I'm not just talking about YouTube here. This works really on any social media platform that has an algorithm that is suggesting content. All right, before we wrap this up, I've got a bonus tip for you. One more way that you can grow your audience faster. And I'm including this as a bonus tip, not as one of the main tips, because it is admittedly a little bit vague. It's an important tip, but I just can't give you as many specifics on it as I would like because of the nature of the tip. So hear me out. This last tip is to look for strategies for growing your audience that will give you disproportionate gains. So basically I'm saying, look for good opportunities to grow your audience. I will give you examples of a few of these sort of opportunities. The first one is underpriced advertising. Now, in general, I wouldn't recommend using paid advertising to grow your audience. However, there are times when it can work really well, especially if you are running some sort of promotion for your business. So you're selling some sort of product. You might use paid advertising for that promotion, and in the process, you can grow your audience really well because people are finding out about your brand for the first time. Now, there are lots of kinds of advertising that are very expensive because they're very competitive, but sometimes there are types of advertising that are underpriced. For example, for a long time, and even to this day to some extent, YouTube advertising has been underpriced. The reason for this is because there have been some problems that YouTube has had with some of its biggest advertisers, and it has caused some of the biggest advertisers to not be interested in advertising on YouTube. And that essentially left a lot of empty ad space, a lot of spaces where YouTube wanted to have ads but didn't have ads. And that meant that those ads were cheaper because there was less competition there. Now, this is just one example. There are plenty of other ways that you can get underpriced advertising. Basically, if you advertise in places that aren't the most popular places to advertise. This can be a cheap way to grow your audience quickly. But another example that's pretty different than that would be using Pinterest. Many bloggers use Pinterest to get a lot of their traffic for their website. Now, whether you're a blogger or not, getting traffic to your website can help more people discover you, which can help to grow your audience. And then as one final example, whenever a new social media platform comes out and starts to gain popularity, there will be a number of people who have downloaded the app and started to use it, but there's not that many creators on the platform yet. And so if you can get in early, then you can grow your audience on that platform relatively easily, relatively quickly, and use that to leverage your audience growth on whichever platform you are actually interested in growing your audience on. All right, so I really wish I could tell you even more about this last bonus way to grow your audience faster, but like I said, because it's more of like a general strategy to look for these opportunities to get these disproportionate audience growth gains, it's not that I'm telling you about any specific strategy. I mentioned a couple here to kind of point you in the right direction, but you really just need to have your eyes open and always be looking for ways that you could creatively grow your audience more quickly. Okay, so that brings us to the end. There's 5 plus a bonus way to grow your audience faster. And first of all, I've got a question for you. Where are you working on growing your audience? Leave me a comment down below. Tell me if you're trying to grow your audience on YouTube or on Instagram or somewhere else. I'm really curious. And more than being curious, if a lot of you are interested in growing your audience on a specific platform, then maybe we could do a video in the future on how to grow your audience quickly on that specific platform. Okay, and then before we wrap this up, I've got one last thing that I wanted to share with you, and that is just that I am offering a free workshop coming up here called How to Get Views on YouTube with 0 subscribers. So if you are interested in growing your audience on YouTube, then you probably know that you need to get views on YouTube in order to grow your audience. If you want to find out more about how to do that, learn how I've gotten views on my videos from when I was first starting out and how I've grown my channel as quickly as I have, then I would love to have you join us for the workshop. Like I said, it's completely free and it is a recorded workshop, so you can watch it on your own schedule. You don't have to wait for when I'm doing it live. And there's a Q&A at the end as well to answer a lot of questions that people had about how to use these strategies for their channel, and I think you'll find that really helpful as well. There's a link down below where you can register for the workshop to get a copy of the recording. marketing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss my next videos. I make videos every single week, every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, all about entrepreneurship, success, and personal development. And I would love to have you join me for the next one if those are things that you're interested in. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.